At the beginning of a new year, I think most of us come up with some sort of New Year's resolution for ourselves, whether it be big or small, to try and start fresh. Now, 2020 was a year I think we can all agree, well, it's not your fault if you didn't stick to your resolution. But for once, I actually stuck to mine because it was simple. I wanted to play more indie or lesser known titles this year. For years, I'd been so focused on the AAA market, which I think it's hard not to with the mass amount of marketing and content released on these games. But the amount of experimentation in every aspect of gaming from the indie market is something that I've always loved and appreciated, and it was something I'd been missing for a while. So in 2020, I started playing more indie titles. Some you've seen here on the channel, others have just been for me, and I've actually had a few developers now reach out asking if I was interested in trying out their games for the channel, which brings me to today's video. Despite my want to play more independent titles, I find it very hard to commit to creating a review or video in exchange for a review code, as it's not really how I enjoy writing or creating these videos. I have to have some sort of excitement or intrigue prior to playing the game, and even then, if I don't like the game or have trouble forming an opinion worth putting on this channel, even if I enjoyed it, then I lose all interest in creating the video, and it's because of this I've turned down all these requests until Replica. I took a chance on Replica because after looking the game up, watching a trailer, thinking it looked really interesting, and proceeding to look up some reviews, the game was almost non-existent here on YouTube, which for a game that released in 2016 was strange to me, but I still decided to take a chance. Replica looked like a worthwhile experiment in gaming that I wanted to give a go. I had some time to spare whilst making the Dark Souls retrospective, and now I finished the game. So here are my thoughts. Just in case I didn't make it clear, yes, I received a review code for this game, but my opinions are my own, as they always will be. Also, I have to spoil this game. It's just a game about the messages and story, and if I try and beat around the bush on this one, this video would be a paragraph long. However, I do urge you, if this game looks interesting to you at all, to go into the game blind. It'll be for the best, trust me. Replica is a game about peeping into someone's private life through their phone. The country has just suffered a major terror attack a few days ago, and so Homeland Security has given you someone's phone, tasked you with hacking into it, and told you to look for any evidence of terrorism. That's the game's premise, and what you see is what you get here. Replica is an interactive novel in which the game has you hacking into apps, reading through text, look through photos and posts, and through the decisions you make will depend on which of the 11, yes 11, endings you'll get. Now the ending most will get by the end of their first playthrough is ending 4, and that's because it's the ending you'll receive for following Homeland's orders and requests, and finding enough evidence that this person is a terrorist. But it definitely isn't a satisfying ending, and that's because the evidence that this guy is a terrorist is coincidental at best. After this ending, you don't feel good at all. Other endings do imply maybe that he is in fact a terrorist, but it's never outright. The point of Replica isn't to follow orders, even if that is where a good chunk of the gameplay takes place. The point of Replica is its message. You should feel a little dirty about what you're doing. We've all got phones and they should feel private. Replica isn't subtle with its message though. The government overreach here is egregious, and that's putting it lightly. The evidence of terrorism is at times a little like grasping at straws, and so it's up to you. Don't agree with what you're doing? Then you'll need to experiment and use information from other playthroughs, and that's where you'll discover the rest of the endings and how you'll try and piece this story together. Replica is a very strange game for me to decide whether I enjoyed the story or not, or if that's even the point. It's so obvious the point is to acknowledge this is a mass invasion of privacy and the government shouldn't be able to do this, and that's sort of the problem, but also does get you thinking about life. Should the government be able to access your private information if you're a suspected threat? What information justifies these suspicions? Where's the line? These questions are what intrigued me even after I was done with the game, and I think it is a great talking point that should be discussed. I just wish it had been a bit more hidden in game. I mean, almost immediately you don't trust Homeland and their orders, and yet it almost forces you to take part in Ending 4 because you have no clue what else you can do. I see your first playthrough more so as an introduction to the gameplay and game's message. Ending 4 almost baits you into playing again. I couldn't leave after that, and I'm glad I didn't, because experimenting with disobeying orders, hacking into accounts deemed irrelevant, or calling people reveals more to these characters' stories, such as who you are, why you were chosen, and even knowing someone is doing the exact same thing to your phone, again ordered by Homeland. After that first playthrough came to an end and I began trying to piece together this story is where Replica really did hook me in, and I'm glad I stuck around for it. Replica is also unique in its presentation. I mean, it's really interesting to play a game where you are clicking on apps you'd use yourself to try and incriminate someone or not, but the style of gameplay and story I think is a mix of Papers, Please, Death and Taxes, Her Story and Telling Lies. Following orders initially like Death and Taxes and Papers, Please before realizing this isn't in my best interest and reading and looking for relevant information like in Her Story and Telling Lies. I love all of these games I just mentioned, so I felt right at home playing Replica and trying to find passwords to accounts or phone numbers that might help you escape this nightmare is really a lot of fun. I'm not really sure what else I can say about a game in which I got 9 out of 11 endings, yet played for an hour and 50 minutes. 40 of those minutes being my first playthrough, and hence why avoiding spoilers is too difficult. Replica is a short experience, and I don't have a problem with that. I probably wouldn't have experimented so much if the game was much longer. It has its issues, primarily focused on an in-your-face message, but I was really compelled and intrigued by Replica, and despite a serious point the game is making, it does have some fun with its endings and some respect paid to other games. Replica is what I enjoy most about the indie market. It tries something different. It may not be a game for everyone, but it starts an interesting conversation, it's visually and mechanically unique, and it's a lot of fun to try and piece this world, its stories, and the truth together for yourself, and think about this topic outside of the game as well. I'm really glad the developers reached out for this one, because I honestly had no idea this game existed a week ago, and I'm sure many of you are the same way, which is a shame since I believe Replica is a gaming experiment well worth experiencing.